what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, Meandcarkeys. In today's video, we're going to talk about these Pro Series Projector style headlights. We installed these over a year ago on the truck, and for whatever reason, I forgot to do a proper review or update video. And the thing about it is there's some good, there's some bad, and there's some ooh ugly. The number one thing that I love about these projector style headlights is the design. These are the best design headlights, aftermarket headlights on the market. Debate me in the comments, and I know somebody's gonna put Morimoto's down there in the comments. I already see you typing. Somebody's gonna put Morimoto's down there in the comment section. That's fine, but in my personal opinion, these are the best design lights on the market. You have your low beam up here at the top, you have your high beam at the bottom, you have your daytime running light on the outside, you have your signal light here, and you have your park light here. Just like on stock headlights, these are just designed a lot better. Wait a minute. Yeah, see, that startup sequence, every time you unlock the truck, that happens. Now, I kid you not, when I got these, I stood out here and I locked the truck, I unlocked the truck, I locked the truck, I unlocked the truck. And I kept doing it because I kept looking at this, because this was like mesmerizing to me that these lights actually do this, which is the reason why I picked these in the first place. So, as I was saying, you have your daytime running light here. It's better to see it lit up. And then you have your signal here, your park light there. And like I said, your low beam is at the top, your high beam is at the bottom. Now, I also like that they have these two little strips here and there. Add a little more flavor, add a little more design to it as well. Now, we did go with the matte black housing. They also have gloss black, they also have chrome, but I figured the matte black would fit the truck flow a lot better. Now, I'm talking with your daytime running light. As you see, the amber does flow when you unlock the truck. When you signal, it does the same thing. So this white daytime running light turns into a sequential turn signal on this side and on the other side, and it goes this way, which is really cool to me. And there's also another reason why I picked these and the design of these headlights. I'm still talking about the good. These Pro Projector style headlights did come with light bulbs, right? That's good. The bad part about it is they came with halogen bulbs. I don't like halogen bulbs. Sorry, I hate halogen bulbs. I can't do it. Every light bulb on this truck pretty much is an LED bulb that I had to upgrade thanks to Auxedo.com. Big shots to Auxedo.com. So the good thing is that you can take the dust cap off on the back of the headlights, take out the halogen bulbs, put in LEDs. So if you look at mine now, they have LEDs in them. I put them in from Auxedo.com. They are H7 bulbs. Both the high beam and the low beam are both H7 bulbs. So adding the LEDs in the high beams and low beams gave it more of an updated look. It looks better. It fits in better with the daytime running lights there because they're pretty much the same color versus the halogen lights, which look to yellow here. And then you have this white daytime running light around the outside, which didn't look good at all. Now you also get better visibility on the road having these LEDs instead of the halogen lights. All right, let's talk about the install process, which was both good and bad. The reason I'm saying that is because they market this as being pretty straightforward. It's pretty much plug and play, and for the most part it was. The bad part is there were no instructions. So if everybody has a different skill level, you would probably need some instructions somewhere, especially when you're dealing with lighting, electrical stuff on a vehicle. Kind of want some instructions. The good thing about that is if you go to the website, they have instructions right there. They have instructions. They also have color pictures. They also have a video for you to watch, and you could just follow along and install with the person that's installing it on the video. All right, so for this next one, we might as well just go ahead and move on into the bad. All right, so we're talking about this daytime running light. Now, this daytime running light doubles as a sequential turn signal, switchback turn signal. So it switches back to amber, like we said earlier. Which is part of the reason why I bought these in the first place. Now, for whatever reason, these came with a harness, right? Like I said, there were no instructions, so it doesn't even tell you what the harness is actually for, other than it says it's for the daytime running lights, but it also says that they'll work without the harness. So of course, I was completely confused. I'm like, so do I need the harness or do I not need the harness? I actually put these in without the harness and the daytime running light was on, and I was like, I'm really confused. So I did some reading and I asked a couple other people who have these lights as well, and they said that the harness is actually to add a dimmable option if you want to dim them or not, which I didn't understand. They were saying that it helps these lights to be brighter in the daytime. And maybe that's true, maybe that's what it was really for, but the instructions didn't say what it was for. And as you see in the daytime, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, these are super bright in the daytime, which is good. Now with that came another issue, right? As I said, it came with the harness. Right now, harness was supposed to, it said with the instructions online, it said to tap into a fuse, right? But it didn't give you anything to tap into the fuse with. It didn't give you a tap in or anything. Not only that, it didn't tell you which fuse to tap into. So as I watched the video that they had online, the guy did demonstrate where to tap into, what to use. The problem is that they didn't provide any of that in the box. So I had to go to a parts store and buy a fuse tap in just to tap into a fuse just to get the harness to work. All right, so coming into the engine bay, if you look here, this is the harness that came with the Alpharex lights. If you look down there, that little black piece is a ballast right there. It does have a fuse in here as well. Now, the point for this was to tap into one of the fuses on the truck. We had this gray wire, which goes to your tap in, and had this red wire, which goes to your positive side of your battery. If you open up here, that's my tap in right there. I believe it's number 97, I believe, that I'm tapped into. And this is what I'm talking about. This part did not come with the Alpharex lights. It would have been nice if it did, or if it at least told you that you needed one beforehand, so you wouldn't have to go to the store and get one. Nevertheless, it's very easy. You just connect your wire here, and you tap it into a fuse there. Like I said, this is number 97. I'll verify that to make sure it's correct. As we continue with the bad, man, it looks so good. As we continue with the bad, I talked about earlier, the design is shaped exactly like the stock housing that came with the truck. So you expect it to fit like the stock housing that does on the truck. And for the most part, it does. As you see, it fits perfectly around the gaps, the lines. It's perfect. At least it looks like it's perfect, but it's not. If you look onto this side, you see that? If you look here, you can see there's a huge crack that goes all the way here. So it's not completely flush with the truck like the stock housing was. Now, when I first put these on, I started with this side, and I remember seeing this gap, and I was wondering why it's not flush. And I figured once I put, because I had to take this panel off, I had to take the backing back here off and the liner off to get to it. And I figured once I put this in that it was kind of tighten itself up once I put all the trim pieces back on. It did not. As you can see, you should not be able to see through here whatsoever. Now, that's one of the things that only I would notice. If you just walked up to the truck and looked at it, you probably never even see this. The simple fact that there's a daytime running light, you can see it shining back there as well. And I'll be honest with you, that bothers me. Right, and this is the passenger side. If you go over to the driver's side, it's the exact same thing. Matter of fact, it's a little worse. You see the gap is a little worse. Go all the way down. That should not be there. Why is he speeding through my neighborhood? As I was saying, this gap should not be here, and it bothers me, right? Like I say, most people will never notice that unless you point out to them, but it's there, and it's one of those things that's in the back of your mind, like, why is there a gap here? All right, still on the bad, as we were talking about putting these lights in, if you have an issue with one of these bulbs, as I said, I put these LEDs, I switched these over to LEDs before I put this whole housing on the truck, which I recommend if you're going to get these and you want to switch them over to LEDs, put the LEDs on first before you put it on the truck. Now, the reason for that is there's a dust cap on the back of each bulb, right, which is great. It keeps moisture out, it keeps dust out, and it's on there very, very tight. So if you want to stick your hand back here up under this liner and try to switch out bulbs, it's pretty much impossible, right? You won't be able to do it. I promise you won't be able to do it. You probably cut your hand up and probably get really frustrated trying to do it. The only way to switch out these two bulbs is to take this entire housing out and switch them out. Same thing for this turn signal here. If you would need to replace this turn signal at any point, you have to take this whole housing off just to do it. And as I was saying, it's good because there's no moisture going to get into any one of these bulbs now. No moisture, no dust, and you don't have to worry about it whatsoever because they're on so tight. But if at any point you have to change these bulbs, you're going to have a big issue. And the only thing you're going to be able to do is take this whole housing off just to do it. Right, and that's just for the passenger side primarily. On the driver's side, it's a little different. The driver's side may be a little easier. You can get away with taking out the intake and the filter box, the air filter box, and you could probably get to this one pretty easily. This side, passenger side, whole different story. We talked about the good, we talked about the bad. And in my personal opinion, the good far outweighs the bad. This is still one of my favorite mods, probably top 1 or 2 favorite mods that I've ever done on this truck. So I wouldn't trade them. I love them. The good far outweighs the bad. But in the beginning of this video, we talked about some ooh ugly. Let's talk about the ooh ugly. I don't know of a better way to say this. This daytime running light stopped working, right? I don't know if a better way to say it. We'll put it straightforward out there to you. The passenger side, the daytime running light stopped working. I noticed it when we're driving. I put my signal light on and it started to hyper flash. And I was like, why is it hyper flash? And I get out to look at it and it's not even working, right? The daytime running light was actually amber, right? When you're driving, the daytime running light is supposed to be white. For whatever reason, it went out and it was actually amber all the time. And I was like, what's going on here? When you hit the signal, nothing happened. So I was really frustrated because this was like probably a month and a half after I installed them on the truck. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I got really frustrated. And what I did was I took the whole thing off and reinstalled it again to make sure that I didn't do something wrong or I didn't install something the incorrect way, and it still didn't work. So I contacted Alpharex, which is also good and bad. Alpharex customer service is actually pretty good, and I forgot to mention that earlier. Their customer service is amazing, right? I was trying to figure out what LED bulbs to put in here in the first place, and I reached out to Alpharex, and they gave me some options. They gave me some good ideas. They told me what size, they told me what brand to get, and all this kind of stuff. So the customer service is amazing, and they responded to me in like less than an hour, right? When I had the issue with the harness, I reached out to them as well. They responded to me in less than an hour. So when this issue happened, I reached out to Alpharex and they did not respond to me. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? So for a whole week, I rode around with this side not working. I was completely embarrassed and completely frustrated because I was so excited to have these lights on my truck, only for this passenger side to stop working. So I reached out to Alpharex again after about a week or so. I called and I said, hey, I'm having an issue here. Nobody's responding to me. I emailed, I've called, I left a message. Nobody responded to me. And the guy said, he was asking me what was going on. And I kind of explained to him what was going on. And he said, I'll call you back. And I'm like, okay. So man, within 30 minutes, somebody else called me and said, hey, we heard you having an issue. It was their customer tech type of department. So the tech service guy, he kind of walked me through some things and to check, to troubleshoot, to figure out what was wrong with it. And the conclusion that he came to was that my signal light here was inoperable, right? He said that the bulb probably went out and you need to replace the bulb and see if that fixes the problem, right? So what I ended up doing was taking this housing back off, taking all trim pieces back off to get the housing off. And I took the turn signal and I just held it in my hand and it started working. So of course the bulb wasn't the issue. I put it back into the housing and it did not work. So clearly what he was telling me was not correct, right? It wasn't the issue. The bulb wasn't the issue. There was something else. Now, what it sounded like was there was a short in the wiring somewhere, whether it was the harness that came with the truck or whether it was the harness on the truck. There was a short somewhere. What it ultimately ended up being was the harness that came with these Alpharex housings, right? As I had it plugged in, I had everything as plugged in as it's supposed to be. It did not work. I lifted the wiring harness up in the air like this and it started working. I put it back down, it didn't work. I pulled it back up, it started working. So with the conclusion that there's a short in the housing that came with these Pro Series headlights, and it was not an issue with my truck, I asked, what's the solution here? What are we gonna do? And he said that he could have Stage 3 Motorsports, which is where I bought these lights, he could have them forward me another headlight, and then he wants me to send this back to Alpharex. But he wants me to send this back so they can look through it and they can figure out the issue is first before they can send me another one. So my question is, you want me to ride around with one headlight? How's that gonna work? So what I ended up doing was I took the harness that came with this, and as I say, if I held it up in the air, it worked just fine. So what I did was I zip tied it up to the frame of the truck, right? Instead of having it just hanging down, it's zip tied up to the truck, and it's been working just fine ever since. I've not had not one issue with these headlights since then. Now, needless to say, that bothers me, right? I spent good money on a product and I kind of had to rig it myself to get it to work. Now, it's not that big of a deal. The only thing I did was zip tie it, of course, but I mean, mentally, I think all the time, okay, what happens if this goes out again? I don't want it to stop working again. And that's not something you want to have on your brain when you buy a product. You want to be excited about it. You want to be excited to show people. You don't want to have to worry about it at any given point in time. So I went to one of the Ford forums and I was kind of wondering if anybody else has had the same issue. And ironically, there was a whole thread of a guy that said he had this issue and he was trying to figure out what to do with it. And when you read down the thread, there were several people who had the same issue. And it can't be a coincidence because everybody had an issue on the passenger side, right? Nobody said anything about the driver's side. Everybody had an issue, said it was on the passenger side. Now, I went back to Alpharex and voiced my concern, said, hey, I don't want to have to worry about this headlight in the future. And I never heard back from them. That was the last time I heard from them. And it did kind of bother me, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But needs to say, I haven't had an issue since then. So the last thing I want to talk about is price, which depending on you is good and bad. So these lights were $440, right? I got them on Stationary Motorsports. That you can buy them on a lot of places. You can buy them on Amazon. You can go buy them directly from Alpharex if you want to. But like I said, they were $440. And if you look at the market, that's kind of average. If you're talking about aftermarket lights, there are some that's cheaper that don't do as much. They don't have the sequential turn signal. They don't have daytime run lights. Then there are some that have built-in headlights that are $1,000. I mean, have built-in LEDs that are upwards of $1,000. Some of them $1,200. As we talked about more and more of those earlier, those are way more expensive than these. So for those of you who feel like $440 is a lot to spend, especially on some lights on one mod, I agree with you. I felt the same way, and that's what took me so long to actually buy these, because I knew I was gonna get them, it just took me a long time. Think about it like this: you can use companies like a firm, for example, and you can pay monthly, so you don't have to spend that big chunk of money at one time, and it really helps out, especially with big mods that cost a lot of money. I use the firm, and I don't mind telling people, I use the firm for this, I use the firm for a couple other things on this truck, because it made things a lot easier. So keep that in mind. Now, if you look for something similar that already has built-in LEDs, there are other options on the market. Alpharex does have the Nova series, which looks amazing. It has like 3 LEDs at the top, looks amazing. Already built in, all you do is plug them in. Now, if you want to do this exact setup, it's a little cheaper. Actually, matter of fact, it's a lot cheaper. It's like half the price. And you can get these LED bulbs to pop into yours. They're, like I said, they're H7s for the top and bottom. And I got them from Auxito.com. By the way, Auxito is a huge sponsor of the channel, and that's where these bulbs came from. You can get them on their website, Auxito.com. And if you want to, you can get 15% off your order if you use the code Meandcarkeys at checkout. You can get these bulbs and you get 15% off of your order. Matter of fact, they sell bulbs for every application on pretty much every vehicle, and you can get them right there on their website, and they'll ship them right to your house. 15% off if you use code Meandcarkeys. I thank you for watching another video on the Meandcarkeys channel. If you got anything from this video, please subscribe. Please give me a like. Please leave a comment. Like, if you have these headlights on your truck, please leave a comment. If you had any issues, please leave a comment. Tell me how it went for you. If it went smooth for you, put that in the comment section as well. If you have any other aftermarket headlights, Morimotos, Anzos, whatever it may be, put it in the comments. Let me know what you got and how you like them, how you feel about them. Till next time, thanks for watching another video. I'll see you.